Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning and welcome to the fourth episode of our web series. Today we move to the Southern Africa, so we go to Botswana and we analyze a lot of issues regarding energy, regarding environment in this interesting country. So we have a lot of topics on the table, but just to mention a couple of them. We'll speak about the energy self-sufficiency of a country with enormous potential under the renewable energies point of view, because Botswana is a country with ambitious plans that will improve the connection with neighbor countries and increase domestic production. You should think that Botswana imports 80% of its energy needs, so we have a lot of work to do together. Another issue to deepen this morning is the question of the energy mix, because the energy mix, as in other countries all around the world, is to revise. We have to move from coal and wood to obviously renewable energies. You should think that coal and wood still represent the main source of energy for rural and low-income communities, being used by 50% of rural families. Firewood is mainly handpicked by individuals, particularly women, who try to satisfy their energy needs for cooking and heating. However, the result obviously is a lack of timber and local impoverishment in the local communities. So the increase in firewood trade has led to deforestation and the consequent lack of wood in all areas of the countries. So these are the main issues to deepen this morning. I thank to all the speakers that will intervene in this webinar. I thank also the Italian companies that are joining this interesting event. I see more than 30 participants for now, so I'm very grateful for that. I'm real pleasure to give the floor to the ITPO Italy director, Ms. Diana Battaglia, for the welcome speech.
Please. Thank you, Francesco. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure for me to open the fourth episode of our web series devoted to green technologies and investments in developing countries, today focused on Botswana. This country is very well known for its wonderful landscape, a varied wildlife, Okavango Delta, and so many other touristic attractions, very famous all around the world. It's true. However, all the accommodation related to this sector are really energy consuming, while Botswana has renewable energy potential, especially in solar and biomass, remain largely unused. Just to give an example, Botswana has one of the highest solar installation rates in global comparisons. Nevertheless, the contribution of solar energy to the overall energy mix of the countries is estimated at a paltry 1%. This scenario paves the way for a strong involvement of international partners in the energy sector. Indeed, UNIDO ITPO Italy has acted as an honest broker in developing linkages between SMEs in developing countries and Italian ones, above all identifying and mobilizing technical, financial and managerial resources in order to achieve employment, economic competitiveness and environmental protection. During last years, our office has been supporting many SMEs in developing countries like Cuba, Ethiopia, Somalia, and Pakistan, among others, in promoting investment opportunities in several sectors where Italy sets world standard of best practice, such as agro-industry, food, textile and clothing, leather and footwear, environment and renewable energies. This commitment is mainly based on promotion of industrial partnership, on improvement of technological and qualitative standards, and on capacity building to partner institutions. Even this event is organized in the same framework, thanks to our collaboration with the Italian Minister of Environment, Land and Sea, namely in the context of the project fostering international partnership between company and institutions operating in the energy and environment sectors, aimed at supporting commercialization and scale up on sustainable energy and environmental technology and project in the small and medium-sized enterprises among the partner country and Italy through promotion of investment and trade. I would like to thank all stakeholders involved in this initiative, starting from the Minister of Environment, Natural Resources and Tourism, the Department of Energy, the Botswana Energy Regulatory Authority, the Botswana Investment and Trade Center, the Botswana Institute for Technology Research and Innovation and Business Botswana. They will guide us in this tour aimed at better know this interesting country, exploring all the existing opportunity in the energy and environment sector, both in terms of technology transfer and investment. I think this event, I'm sure, will improve our skills. How to do business in Botswana? Which are the incentives and the fiscal advantages? Which are the most promising sectors? What are the needs of local SMEs in terms of investments and technologies? These are the questions that, among others, we will be able to reply at the end of this morning. Let me also thank the numerous Italian companies that showed interest for this event. Indeed, the Italian business community can play a pivotal role in the path toward the energetic self-sufficiency of Botswana. As you know, the role of SMEs and the private sector in general is crucial for economic growth. Moreover, SMEs play a significant role in achieving the SDGs and can contribute to solve some of the core issues for the 2030 agenda, as they make up more than 90% of all businesses worldwide. My office is strongly committed in sensitizing the stakeholders. We daily met in the SDGs achievement, and I'm very proud of that. I'm sure that this event will provide an overview of the opportunity offered by Botswana, paving the way for a fruitful partnership with the Italian companies. I wish all of you a successful event. I thank you a lot for your attention. And Francesco, I give the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you for this kind introduction. Indeed, our office implemented other projects in Botswana also in the past. So Botswana is a really friend of us.
Yeah.
Now I'm glad to give the floor to a friend of our office. We met in 2017, 2018. So he really knows the activities implemented by ITPO Italy. Mr. Balisi Gopolang from the Ministry of Environment, the Chief of the Meteorological Department. He will speak about the opportunities and existing in Botswana. But firstly, I would like to share with you the possibility to address the questions in our mail address, itpo.rom@unido.org, or directly in the chat. So you can choose between these two options, because we don't have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. So we'll collect all the questions, and then we will reply at the end or later. So, Mr. Balisi, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Francesco. Thank you for the kind words from your director, Diana Batagi. And good morning, colleagues. Or afternoon, it's morning because it's before lunch. Let me also from the onset introduce myself. Balisi Gopolang. I'm a Chief Meteorologist at the Department of Meteorological Services. which is the focal department for climate change. It's within the Ministry of Environment, Natural Resource Conservation and Tourism. Let me also from the onset thank you, UNIDO ITPO, for organizing this very, very important event. And even more important, we are organizing it at this very difficult time when the world is grappling with the COVID issues. And we know that your colleagues that side, you lost quite a fair number, and please accept our condolences, and it's quite sad. But that being the case, thanks also to technology, because we are here discussing using technology. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to just give a bit of context to say climate change is indeed a problem, and it has not spared us, Botswana as a developing country. And sectors of our economy have been negatively affected. Botswana is generally semi-arid country, landlocked, which actually makes us even more vulnerable. So, and we have seen climate change manifesting itself in rainfall variability, and temperatures have increased over time in Botswana. So now, in recognition of this challenge that we had before us, we joined the global community in ratifying and signing and ratifying the Climate Change Convention, the UNFCCC for short, which, if you allow me to just give you insights, it has a beautifully written objective, which talks to stabilizing greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere, and therefore, allowing the ecosystem to adapt naturally, ensuring that food security is sufficient, but last but not least, that we develop in a sustainable manner, because it's on that basis that everything else we have to be putting in the right line. So, we tried, the Kyoto Protocol came in as a picture as well, which was advocating for reduction of greenhouse gases for developed countries. And sadly, it was not a success. And we moved on to negotiate the Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement was adopted still as a sustainable development issue, but it also came up with goals now that were set, which is the global goal of reducing temperature, not 2-degree temperature goal, but with still efforts, with our interventions that will allow us to go to a 1.5 pathway. And now, Botswana ratified the convention and the Paris Agreement, which means now we have to come up with initiatives to address and be part of the global family. So going to Paris, we prepared what we called a submission, a pledge of how we're going to tackle climate change. And this is the INDC for short, which we put and submitted. It became part of the Paris package. In our INDC, we pledged to reduce our greenhouse gas concentration by about 15% post-2030, which means that was going to be our contribution. But realizing that some of these interventions, as the previous speaker did mention, that support needed, they were requiring a bit of support, which was going to be funding and the renewables to contribute to help us reduce our emissions. But then we had obviously made a condition that it will be incumbent on provision of support that we attain or those reduction targets. This is actually when UNIDO ITPO came to the rescue by acknowledging the fact that the private sector was quite key, because as government, we cannot do it alone. What we did was we are preparing or finalizing our climate change response policy, which creates that enabling environment for private sector to thrive, to help us address this particular imperative that is before us. So our policy is in its final stages, and I'm glad that there was a mission that was supported by UNIDO, which was actually came from our memorandum of understanding with the Italian Ministry of Environment, Land and Seas, which then brought in UNIDO on the table. And UNIDO brought a high-powered delegation of companies from Italy. They came and established this relationship with our local companies, facilitated by BITC. And when they were here, they moved around the country. They engaged a lot of stakeholders. We had a workshop at GICC, which was quite a success. And it's so gratifying that from there, we saw a team from Botswana also visit Italy, still supported by UNIDO, which I think was quite commendable. And from there onwards, there's been information exchange, partnerships born, and interaction, possible projects being initiated. And it is our wish that such relationship grows from strength to strength. Because like the previous speaker, Diana Bakati, the name is a bit difficult. She did mention where the opportunities lie, that Botswana has so much irradiance. I think colleagues participating at this meeting from the energy sector, they are experts, they will shed the light in sort of where opportunities lie. But I just wanted to underscore that being a hot country, geographically located in the tropics, then the irradiance that's coming is quite enormous. And then it's just the support and this company's relationship that we have with yourselves and in the other hemisphere that could only take us, and partnering with our local institutions, research institutions of excellence, which who have actually experts who understand the subject better than we do, that they can take the process forward. So let me just say, well, I sincerely hope and wish that this is just one of the few that we're going to be discussing. This is just not the last. I know you've been here. You could have come here in March sometime, but because of the COVID that I just mentioned, the mission had to be postponed. But I just said, well, technology came in handy. But lastly, allow me to say that climate change might be a problem that threatens us attainment of our developmental imperatives or needs or priorities, but it comes up with opportunities. And one such opportunity is where we are today, where UNIDO came in to support Botswana institutions address climate change. So ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, allow me to stop here for now and still continue to thank our partners from the other hemisphere for their support. Thank you very much and good morning.
Thank you, Balisi. Your words are so kind. It's true. We were supposed to come in Botswana also in March to follow up the meetings held last year. Obviously, COVID-19 outbreak stopped all the initiatives, but I would like to continue with these online webinars, online activities, with the hope to come again in Botswana in 2021. So our aim is to involve the private sector in several activities in your country, because we strongly believe that private sector is the key for all the successful activities. Thank you so much for your participation. So now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Molenga, but he has some connection problem. So we can go directly to the third speaker, in particular the Botswana Energy Regulatory Authority, Mr. Duncan Morozzi, the Chief Operation Officer. He will intervene with speaking about rules and regulation of the electricity market, obviously the energy policy and existing opportunities in the generation of electricity. So, Mr. Duncan Morozzi, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, sir, and good morning, everybody. Yes, my name is Duncan Morozzi. I am from Botswana Energy Regulatory Authority. I'm the Chief Operating Officer there. I'm trying to connect. Okay, you can see me now.
Yes, now we are seeing you. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. I'll just go to the point and maybe answer your question, which actually generates our discussion here, whether indeed there are opportunities in Botswana for the use of sustainable energy resources and green technology. The question is yes, there are. And who are we as better to assist in that? We are the regulator formed to actually regulate the energy sector. One, by ensuring that the energy sector implements government policies. And Mr. Hopelang has stated it quite correctly, quoting from the Paris Protocol, and that the government adopted that policy of going green, and as the regulator, we are implementing that policy through making sure that the entities that we license comply. But that is not the only issue. We are here to ensure that the energy sector is open as a market to accommodate other players, because as I understand, you have been here before in Botswana, and your interactions with other stakeholders, you have shown you that there's only one utility in Botswana, that is a government utility, Botswana Power Corporation, that is generating electricity for Botswana. They generate, they transmit, they distribute. So one can call them a monopoly if you wish. And by establishing BERA, the government wanted to liberalize the market, because through licensing, we can actually open up the electricity market. If I go back to Mr. Hoplan, if I maybe harvest from what he said, Botswana is currently a coal generating country. There's a lot of coal, which is a resource also which needs to be used, of course, to benefit citizens. We're using it to generate electricity, but we are aware of the carbon emissions coming from that. And we are also aware of the tariff, the price of electricity that we are paying now because of using coal. Now, as the regulator, we believe that if we switch, now adopting the energy mix talk, if we allow other players to come into Botswana to use the renewable energy resources that we have, which has been alluded to as being the sun and the wind in Botswana. I think these are the two topmost, wind and solar. As for hydro, I think we have to confess, we don't have much water flowing around in the country. So we are left with solar and wind. Having said that, how can we attract Italian companies to come to Botswana's BERA? We license anybody, and I'm saying anybody, who wishes to come to invest in Botswana, who intends to help us develop as a country by giving us affordable energy. I'm putting this clear as that. Affordable energy. I'm saying this because currently our government is subsidizing the tariff. So in other words, I pay, if the tariff is 5 pula per kilowatt hour, I'm paying maybe 3 pula, government is paying 2. So we have been subsidized. So if somebody intends to come to Botswana to use our renewable resources, to be able to make us afford the price of electricity, they are welcome. The investments are welcome. Our licensing requirements are not burdensome. We are not very, very prohibitive in asking people to comply with 1 or 2 things to make sure that they qualify for the generation license. You just have to come to Botswana, explore the terrain, as you have done before with Bomisa Hopolang and other parastatals here. You have to also be able to see BPC, Botswana Power Corporation, because they own the infrastructure, they own the grid, but that does not preclude any other player from coming into the market, because as BERA, we are there to ensure that anybody who enters the market will have access to the grid. And as I can tell you now, we have licensed other players in the market who are going to use gas. We have got coal bed methane here in volumes. And we have licensed them. They're already constructing a line from where they are to the BPC grid. So you can also put up your infrastructure If you want to play in the market, it is allowed. But now we have the question of power purchase agreements. The power purchase agreements, as you know, are contracts between the buyer and seller, you being the independent power producer, and BPC. So we'll advise that anybody who comes to Botswana will have to maybe see BPC, iron out the issue of power purchase agreements. But as an IPP, meaning an independent power producer, you are in our hands because we are the ones who are going to say, yes, we give you the license to generate. Once we give you the license to generate, then what you do with your power, that is up to you. That is up to you and BPC. You can also even generate in Botswana. We have granted licenses for people who can generate in Botswana and export to the neighboring countries. You are not only restricted to generating and supplying us. No, you can also even export to the neighboring countries in the SADC region. That is allowed. I'm with my director of electricity and green energy. I'll allow him to finish our presentation by taking you through our integrated resource plan and our current green energy projects that we are having. Thank you very much.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you, Ku. I'll take the last portion of the presentation. We have an integrated resource plan that is soon to be published. The ministry is soon to publish it. But I think the highlights of it is that we are sitting around 600 megawatt right now. And it's forecast that in 2040, we'll be sitting at 1445 megawatt. That's an increase of about 845 megawatt. That means that we need extra generation capacity. That means then we have an opportunity to allow other energy technologies to come in, especially renewables and green technologies to come in. That's what the IRP is bringing in. And as we all know, when it comes around, at certain times when certain capacities are required, tenders will be issued out for people to go and tender for those capacities. So we see the IRP as a plan that will bring an organized development of our needed generation capacity. The other thing is that right now we have some projects. There's a 100 megawatt solar project that is already ongoing in terms of tendering. So there is an opportunity for companies there in terms of supply, construction, and the like for that project. There's also 12 grid-tied solar projects, which are on a smaller scale from 1 megawatt up to 4 megawatt, that they are also at tendering and being evaluated. Companies will have an opportunity to implement those. There's also a program that is to be soon operationalized called the Rooftop Solar Program. In the residential, commercial, and industrial customers will be able to put up solar panels and be able to generate electricity for their own use, and also any excess that comes from those solar panels will be sold to the grid. That is still being implemented on a pilot basis, i.e. that will allow for now about 10 megawatt to go in for the first year, and then review that program to see how best we go forward after the learnings that we'll pick from that project. There is also a biogas project. I think that one mainly is for heating using the waste from our animals. I think, as you would know, Botswana is one of those countries that has got that sells beef. So our cattle do produce that byproduct. I think with that, I can only say that yes, as a regulator, we are really looking forward to the implementation of the IRFT so that we have the generation capacity that we want. We also see it as a window for renewable energy and green technologies. And we are looking forward to this implementation of this project that I've just named. These are projects that will be undertaken by private sector. I think the director did mention the issue of the private sector. These are projects that will be implemented by the private sector. And as the Chief Operations Officer, Bera, has mentioned, Bera comes in for licensing, for issues of tariffs, for issues of compliance by the new licensees. And that's the role that we really play in and try to facilitate so that these things do happen. So just reiterating what he said, yes, there are opportunities for renewables and green technologies in the country. The issue is just how we structure it such that it becomes a success. And I think, as the opening speakers have said, the UNIDO TPO was being set up so that we can have this to assist this to happen. I think with that, thank you very much.
I would like to add one thing. Hello? Hello?
Yes, please.
Yes, there's one serious concern. I think I must say this from the outset. There's one serious concern in Botswana. I think with government, if the gentleman from the Ministry of Department of Energy was on, he will agree that we have an issue with the quality of the solar products. That is a serious concern. And I think if we look back, you'll find that the reason why maybe our government, even our utility, BPC, had not really gone solar was because of the quality of the solar products. Government had gone out to generate electricity in the rural areas for teachers and nurses and police using solar, but it does not last for long. For one or many reasons, some things do not work. So as BERA, actually, we're tasked by government to embark on trying to see what other countries are doing to ensure good standards of the solar products. So maybe it will be an opportunity again for Italian companies to look at their products, compare them with what we may be having here, and see whether they could compete again in that market in terms of availability of products. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morozzi. Thank you, Mr. PC. Thank you so much. So the presentation is really interesting. You presented the projects you have on the ground. So we will share the presentation with the participants because I think it's interesting to deepen all the projects on solar, biogas, and so on you present this morning. So it's really, really interesting to do that. Now I'm glad to give the floor to Mr. Reginald Tebogo Selelo, Chief Operation Officer of Botswana Investment and Trade Center, which is the main office to promote investment, to attract investments, and to promote trade with the international companies. Now we are in the focus of the webinar because the questions to reply are how to do business in Botswana, why invest in Botswana, the investment climate, incentives, and priority sectors. So all these issues will be deepened by Mr. Reginald. You have the floor, please.
Thank you so much, Francesco. Please allow me to share my screen. I hope you're able to see it from that end. Okay.
Yes, we are seeing the screen, please.
Perfect, perfect. At this juncture, Program Director, allow me to express our warm delight for the opportunity to participate at this webinar this morning. Allow me to thank UNIDO ITPO for this opportunity, and also to recognize all the panelists in today's webinar, and thank also the great welcome remarks that we got from Diana. I really appreciate the level of synergy that we received from the opening remarks. I would like to thank UNIDO ITPO for this opportunity to express or share our thoughts and insights on investing in Botswana, as well as on the opportunities and incentives that are available. Also, probably at the beginning, I'll take you through a very quick rundown of a presentation on the economic as well as demographic issues, why invest in Botswana, the investment climate issues. I'll talk to the priority sectors, particularly sustainable energy and other sectors as well. I'll talk to a few incentives as well as the role of BITC. I would like to take you a step backwards. I'm doing this particularly for the benefit of those companies that have not had the pleasure to visit Botswana, just for them to understand and appreciate where exactly Botswana is in the geographical setting. As you may see, Botswana is smack in the middle of Southern Africa. You can see that from the map, with a population of about 2.3 million people bordering South Africa, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and Zambia, with a land size of the size of France, size of Texas in the US. And as a country, we strongly believe in strong macroeconomic fundamentals. These are critical, particularly for investors, so that we don't erode the investment that they bring to Botswana. If you look, for example, at our GDP, as a country, we've got a GDP of about 18 billion US dollars, per capita GDP of about 8,137,000. This is critical to show the purchasing power parity in Botswana for the benefit of potential investors that are considering the country for investment. In terms of inflation and interest rates, we strongly believe in strong macroeconomic fundamentals. We strongly monitor our growth in prices, particularly issues around inflation, growth of inflation. If you look at, for example, in 2019, inflation was on average 2.8 for the entire year. And current interest rates, which is the rate of borrowing, particularly for our businesses that would like to borrow locally, bank rate stands at 3.75%, and the prime lending rate is 5.25%. This is critical also if investors would like to top up the investment through local borrowing. In terms of exports of this country, we are a diamond-led economy, continuing to export quite significantly around diamonds, beef, soda ash, and so forth. And we import quite significantly different types of products, including petroleum products, industrial products, as well as other manufactured products. As I've already noted, Botswana, we're sitting smack in the middle of Southern Africa, which provide a gateway into the rest of Africa, which is why in the earlier presentation by Mr. Morotsi, he noted that you could do business in Botswana and export your energy into the rest of Africa, particularly with a base in Botswana. Now, in terms of the investment climate, as a country, we've had sustained periods of economic growth for quite a long time. And I've also talked about issues around macroeconomic management. We strongly believe in prudent management of the economy. We have a very strong balance sheet with net external credit position this is extremely good so that we don't erode, as I said, the investment that will be coming to Botswana from across the world. As a country, we do not have exchange controls, which means that as investors, you can bring in your investment into Botswana, and if at any particular point you like to repatriate your profits, your dividends, your interests to non-resident directors, the country allows you to do so through the rules that are available. So we do not have any exchange controls. As a country, we have a sound legal system, and we strongly believe in adherence to the rule of law. So I'd like to give assurance to investors in Italy and across the world that when they invest in Botswana, they are guaranteed of security of tenure of their investment, both in terms of political stability, in terms of economic stability, and so forth. So in terms of economic stability, we've enjoyed decades of free elections. We enjoy political stability, which is critical for investors as they set up in a particular location. If you look at sovereign credit rating, we enjoy very high sovereign credit rating from international rating agencies such as your Moody's and Standard & Poor's. This makes it quite a lot easy for investors to fundraise across the world because of the credit rating that Botswana has as a country. In terms of market labor stability, we have a very, very stable labor market. And therefore, as investors, if you want to invest in Botswana, you are assured of hardworking, educated workforce with our literacy rate standing at about 87.7%. This is important to share so that as investors, you know exactly that when you come to Botswana, you are able to deploy your investment with the labor that is available. And in instances where the labor is not available, you are allowed to bring in investment or rather skills from outside. We do not have any restrictions whatsoever on foreign business ownership, except for a limited number of sectors that are considered to be reserved for local participation. And in terms of ease of doing business, we monitor very closely the ease of doing business. And as a country, out of the 190 countries in the World Bank ease of doing business, we stand up at position 90. So you can see that we take quite heavily take into consideration the investment climate for our country. Well, at this point, I would like to talk to the investment opportunities. I know our colleagues from BERA have already alluded to this. This as emphasis. For emphasis purposes, that's the Botswana a map that shows the level of irradiation in Botswana. Opportunity exists in improving the contribution to the energy mix, as already alluded to, by ensuring the uptake of sustainable energy and green technologies in the country. We do have abundant solar energy resources, as already alluded to, with over 3,200 hours of sunshine per year, which is one of the highest rates of insolation or irradiation across the world. So the current deployment of sustainable energy technologies is very, very limited, and therefore opportunities do exist for us to increase the uptake of solar opportunities, particularly around photovoltaic, establishment of photovoltaic plants, establishment of concentrated solar power plants, establishment of standalone or isolated grid systems or isolated solar systems. Opportunities also are available in rooftop solar projects. Now, if you look at this Botswana map, it shows the level of deployment across the country. It shows the energy roadmap shared by BPC as well as our brothers from BERA. In terms of this map, the 100 megawatt project that our colleagues talked to, you can see them in those blocks. These are the projects that are being reviewed at the present moment. As already alluded to, the the main, the 100 megawatt project, which is a 250 megawatts, is that pre-qualification of bidders, and the pre-qualification of bidders for the project has been completed by BPC, with 21 bidders having been shortlisted. And the submission of RFQ from the pre-qualified companies is also ongoing, with the hope that it will be closed by the last quarter of 2020, while the tender award will be done during the first quarter of 2021. We hope, if all goes very well, commercial operation to start on the third quarter of 2020, hoping that everything will be as planned. Now, the other projects that the colleagues talked about is the 12 grid-tied solar power projects. As you may well be aware, this project started off in November 2018 through a public tender, and only 2 grid-tied solar plants were awarded in February 2020, with commercial operation scheduled for July 2021. Retender for the remaining 10 PV plants is currently in progress, with RFQ issued to prospective bidders in February. And the tender was closed in August 2020. And we expect, if all goes well, the award to take place sometime in November. And then with the commercial operation of the 12 projects being done sometime in April 2022. Now, if you look at the solar hybrid, you can see the red, the isolated off-grid installations. You can see the ticked red crosses across the country map. Those show the solar PV hybrid off-grid installations for the remote areas. So you can see that at least the journey has started, and we would like to increase our uptake of solar energies. And this is why we're seeing all this deployment or roadmap being shown. As already alluded to, currently, of course, BPC have a 1.3 megawatt solar PV grid-connected installation here in Gaborone, in Pakalani. We have 2.2 megawatt PV rooftop in better generation in one of the biggest shopping malls in Gaborone. And therefore, opportunity does exist for other players to look at other shopping complexes, look at other big malls around Botswana, to look at industrial properties that are available, to look at residentials and so forth, and deploy some of the solar opportunities available. The other opportunities that our colleagues talked to are opportunities around the use of coal bed methane gas. As you may all be aware, we've got 220 billion tons of coal, and underneath there is an opportunity for us to harvest CBM, coal bed methane gas. The discovery of the coal bed methane gas actually holds hope for local production of gas for industrial as well as commercial users. So the search for the CBM and other gases is still ongoing and at an advanced stage, where we're looking at current recoverable gas standing at about 12 trillion cubic feet. And exploration is continuing, and we are excited as BITC with the results that are coming through. This CBM investigations were assisted by government at the initial stage, and therefore opportunity now exists for the private sector to uptake some of the opportunities, to uptake some of the explorations, and seek more opportunities for other gases as well as this coal bed methane. Program director, to be remiss of me if I don't talk to other opportunities that are available within the country. I think maybe most related to the energy or sustainable energy is the area of manufacturing, particularly manufacturing of solar products. We are particularly interested in having companies established in Botswana to manufacture the solar panels, to manufacture batteries. with a view to export across the world. Therefore, we are interested in Italian companies considering setting up in Botswana and working very closely with BERA and ourselves to ensure that they meet the necessary standards and be able to export to the rest of the world. On other sectors, we do have opportunities across the agricultural sector, agribusiness, and we're looking for investors to partner with us on the commercialization of agriculture, particularly making use of the sustainable energy inputs in the agricultural business. In mining and resource beneficiation, we do have opportunities that I've also talked to. We have opportunities in tourism and hospitality. We're looking here for opportunities to ensure that in the tourism and hospitality, we deploy sustainable energy and environmentally compliant projects within our lodges and hotels, particularly in the Delta, so that we maintain the serenity of the tourism offering that we have as a country. So those are some of the opportunities that are available for investors. And if there are any investors from Italy and across the world who are interested in talking to us about these opportunities, we will certainly be willing to unpack the opportunities in much more detail at their convenience. Now, if I turn down to some of the incentives that are available, as a country, we've got a very competitive tax environment in Botswana. This competitive tax environment is meant to attract investors to consider setting up base in Botswana. If you look at, for example, corporate tax in Botswana, it stands at 22%. I'll show on a later slide where it puts us in comparison to the rest of the countries that we compete with. If you are in the manufacturing space, you only pay 15% corporate tax. If you're in the financial services, it's 15%. Innovation-led businesses is also 15%. I'll talk to the SPEDU region incentives at a later time. Other opportunities that are available, the possible tax holiday of up to 10 years under the development approval order. Under this incentive structure, businesses have to show the impact that they make through their investment in Botswana. Through that demonstration, SBITC will work with the company to apply through our Ministry of Finance and Economic Development for the company to be granted a tax holiday. I would like to hasten to say that tax holidays are offered on the basis of the impact that the companies make in terms of job creation, in terms of overall change in the structure of economy or contribution to the structure of the economy, our GDP, and so forth. So the other opportunities that are available, rather incentives, is if you look at the maximum tax, personal income tax, we have highly competitive income tax, very, very low. So if you set up in Botswana, you are assured of very low income, personal income tax rates, which are tiered in line with your income. So the highest or maximum tier that you pay is only 25%. If you play in the International Financial Services Center, some of the opportunities are that the services rendered under the IFSC are zero rated for value-added tax. And also you are exempted from withholding tax when distributing profits, dividends, interest to non-resident directors. Also as an IFSC company, you are exempted from capital gains tax where you change shareholding in your business. If you change shareholding, this only applies where your shareholding is in excess of 25%. You are then exempted from capital gains tax. So assuming you set up a power plant in Botswana, a solar power plant in Botswana, or not necessarily a solar power plant, or even a windmill in Botswana, and at any particular point you wish to transfer your interests to another company, you could actually get an exemption from capital gains tax as long as your shareholding in that business is in excess of 25%. As already alluded to, we don't have any exchange controls if you are in the IFSC sector. Now, in terms of customs duties, you are exempted, or you can import machinery for manufacturing as well as agriculture duty-free if you are in the space of in this particular space. And the government also provides an opportunity for a 200% tax rebate. This tax rebate goes towards training. This is very important because in this space of sustainable energy, in other sectors, there's a lot of training that needs to be done, particularly on our people, and therefore the government is willing to meet our companies halfway by providing the 200% deductible tax rate. On the investment incentives that I talked to, as you can see, Botswana stands in quite better than a number of countries. We're really highly competitive in terms of our tax rates. Now, as I draw to the close, as I draw to the end, as an institution, Botswana Investment and Trade Center, we are the go-to institution with regards to facilitating investment. We run the Botswana One-Stop Service Center. The Botswana One-Stop Service Center is a department within BITC whose sole responsibility is to roll out the red carpet and eliminate the bureaucracy as well as challenges for investors. We assist investors with company registration. We assist with opening bank accounts, access to entry visas, as well as work and residence permits, and all the necessary requirements. We assist companies with meeting environmental impact assessment requirements and all other services that we provide. So our responsibility is to make sure that we make the journey for investors seamless as it may possibly be, so that they recoup the investment that they put up they deploy in Botswana. And this one is my last slide. Francesco, I know I've run out of time. Please allow me to share the slide. For those who would like to engage with us, those are our handles, our Facebook handle, our Twitter handle, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and social media. Please do feel free to visit our website, www.gobotswana.com. And also for those who are across the world, please do understand that we have an office here in Gaborone, which is our head office. We have an office in the United Kingdom, South Africa, as well as India. These offices are available to all of you, and please do make use of the offices. Do feel free to engage us and engage me or any of my team members at any particular point on some of the investment opportunities that have been shared this morning. We will stand ready to assist you to deploy your investment. With that, I thank you, Program Director, and my apologies for having gone slightly above the time that you gave me. I thank you.
Thank you, Reginald. Very clear presentation, very focused on the point. So thank you very much. I can anticipate that in November we'll host a delegate from a virtual delegate from BITC. So all these opportunities and also other opportunities will be presented through ad hoc activities like webinars, technical seminars to the Italian business community. So these are only an anticipation of what we are doing in November with your institution. So thank you so much for the participation. Now I saw among the participants Mr. James Molenga from the Department of Energy. So if you, Mr. James, if you would like to have the floor, you can present your department. We can help you in projecting the presentation here from our office.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, so now
I'm sorry we had a problem with connections.
Yes, we're going to put your presentation, to share your presentation on the screen.
Okay.
Okay, please.
Yeah, I'm glad that we have been invited, to participate in this meeting. Like I said earlier on, we had problems with the with the connections.
Next slide.
So the presentation will look at the country context. As Botswana, we have a population of about 2.1 million or 2.2 million, as shown in 2017. And we are a sparsely populated country with 3.98 people per meter square. And the rate of birth is estimated at 1.98% per annum. And by 2030, we expect a population of around 3 million people. Even though we are very small, there is growth in terms of the electricity demand in Botswana. So our maximum demand at the moment stands at 600 megawatts. What I wish to mention is that in 2012, Botswana Power Corporation undertook a demand forecast, which showed that there would be a growth from 2012 to 2031 of about 6.055 gigawatt hours. We have recently completed the integrated resource plan, which is a 20-year roadmap, looking at the technologies that are available locally that will be used in power generation. Some of the technologies that are recommended in the IRP is the concentrated solar, the solar PV, the wind energy, and the coal bed methane. So one of the issues that is important is that we should know that Department of Energy is a policy institution, and we work with other companies or institutions that are owned by the government of Botswana in order to undertake some projects, or to make sure that the projects that are undertaken in power production are done properly. So we have parastatals such as Botswana Power Corporation, Botswana Energy Regulatory Authority, Botswana Bureau of Standards, and the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Board. As I said earlier on, the Department of Energy is a policy institution, and its mandate is to coordinate the development and implementation of the energy. So we have the National Energy Policy, which was recently presented to the Botswana Parliament in the current parliamentary sitting, and is expected to be further tabled for further discussion in November 2020. So we are hoping that this national energy policy will be, approved by the parliament. The goal is to provide affordable, reliable, and adequate supply of energy for sustainable development, as well as improve access to efficient use of energy resources. In the institutional setup, we have the Botswana Power Corporation, which is a government-owned company that was established in 1970, whose primary functions are on generation, distribution, and transmission. So this is a government institution that has been established to implement the government projects that are electricity, biased, or to produce electricity. We know that apart from that, the policy has been, reviewed to make sure that there's participation of private sectors, which means that the market has been opened for the private sector. The other institution that is owned by the government of Botswana is the Botswana Bureau of Standards. So their mandate generally is to, formulate the standards so that there's we have quality products in the market. We don't have substandard, equipment such as solar PV and the solar water heaters. We also have what I consider when it comes to procurement, we have the public procurement and asset disposal board. Their mandate is to assist in procurement of projects. This institution is very important because us as the government of Botswana, when we procure, we really rely on the guidelines. Because normally when we procure, we have to go into the market. We have to advertise so that we get value for money. We advertise so that there's fairness in terms of people that we end up, or the company end up picking to implement the projects. And it's also the procurement guidelines are followed to promote accountability and transparency, and to ensure that there's integrity, fairness, and public confidence when government projects are undertaken. So this one, I have mentioned it, that the National Energy Policy actually is a high-level document. The strategies and the other guidelines, they fall under it. So it was tabled at Parliament. So the goal of the overall goal of the energy policy is to provide adequate supply of energy for sustainable development, as well as improve access. And the related objectives are meant to ensure that we invest a lot in the renewable energy so that we meet the targets as stated in the national energy policies and the national strategy on renewable and energy efficiency strategic documents. We have other documents that we are using maybe to guide us when we implement the government projects. We have the renewable energy strategy. This strategy was developed with the assistance of the World Bank. So there's a realization that at the moment there will be people or the households that will never be connected to the national grid. So somehow these people, they have to be assisted. So this is an area where we, as the government, we feel that something has to be done in order to assist the people so that we meet the government targets. And then we also have the Sustainable Energy for All report of 2018. And this report, it reviewed the renewable energy strategy and the energy efficiency and conservation strategy. So this, Botswana is a signatory of this global framework. This is called the Agenda 2030 for sustainable development. So one of the main, goal is SG7, which us as the department really have to fulfill. So that's where there is a recommendation that we should invest a lot on the renewable energy. That's why we set a target of 15%, contribution of the renewable energy to the energy mix by 2030. And then we are hoping that if we push this agenda of the renewable energy, maybe by 2030, we'll be closer to electricity availability or access to the households. There's also the government vision, which is the Vision 2016, is one of the documents that the government uses, to improve the lives of Botswana, to bring in projects, not only on energy or any other projects that can be used, to improve the lives of Botswana. So one of the key things that I would like to mention on the Vision 2036 is that it also considers the exploitation of the renewable energy sources to conventional energy. That at the moment, I think this one was mentioned earlier on. We have some projects that are currently ongoing or that have been recently been completed. We have the 100 megawatts, the 2x50 megawatts. This is a project that is implemented through the independent power producer. And then we have the 12, the grid ties. Only 2 projects have been awarded. The other 10 are under evaluation. And then we have built the 20 centralized solar PV systems in some villages that are far away from the grid network. So those are the projects that I felt that I should share with you. Yeah, there are some projects and programs that are geared towards, improving access to energy. Some of these projects or the programs, they include the rooftop solar program. So this is a program that will be launched by our minister on the 3rd of November, 2020. So here we are looking at opening the market a little bit so that we have maybe households sector, the commercial and industrial sector, being allowed, to connect to the grid network. And then this is a pilot project that will run for 12 months. After that, looking at the performance of the pilot, maybe a recommendation will be done that maybe the program can be done on a larger scale. We also have the off-grid solar program. So this program, we're really working on these guidelines at the moment. So we hope that towards the end of this year, the program would start. So the off-grid solar program has 3 major sectors or components. We are looking at providing electricity through renewable energy, that is solar PV, for houses that are far away from the grid network, and for small businesses. We're also looking at, because the uptake of solar water heaters in Botswana is very low, even though we have the highest, one of the highest solar irradiance in the world. We realize the solar water heaters uptake is very low. So we are trying to support the households and the small businesses, you know, to improve the uptake. We also want to support the farming sector with installing solar PV for water pumping to water livestock, and for farming for small and medium scale farmers, those who are doing horticulture. So the off-grid solar program will be targeting those clients. We are just hoping that with this off-grid solar program, we are going to see change in terms of the uptake. With solar PV for water pumping, the expectation is that the farmers would really benefit from the program. I think the last that I will talk about the opportunities. I mentioned earlier on that we recently completed the integrated resource plan. So one of the technologies that are recommended in the IRP is the concentrated solar power and the wind energy. So what is going to happen is that at the moment, we're looking at what has to be done in terms of preparing, maybe undertaking some feasibility studies before maybe the procurement can start. So there is a need for us as Department of Energy to undertake maybe the feasibility study for concentrated solar power, and we have to undertake the wind validation. The reason why we are undertaking the wind validation is that we really want to do some physical ground measurements so that whatever that the result we found using the satellite data maybe can be supported by the physical measurements, so that we would really know maybe the capacity of the plants that can be built from the wind energy. The area that we feel that maybe companies maybe from Italy could be interested in, that in the areas of manufacturing of solar panels or solar PV modules, the controllers, the inverters, and the batteries. So generally, as the Botswana gears towards, implementing or investing in renewable energies, there are opportunities for that. We are talking about 100 megawatts that is at the tender stage, which means that we are going to need a lot of solar PV modules, the batteries, the controllers, and other related equipment. So maybe the companies that are in Italy, they can consider maybe investing in those areas. So at the moment, I really have to thank you for listening. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, James, for this interesting presentation. Even your organization presented several projects interesting for the Italian companies, so we'll have the occasion to go in depth in this project. So I think we'll have the occasion to analyze more in depth. Now, I'm glad to give the floor to the Botswana Institute for Technology, Research and Innovation. They will deliver a speech regarding the point of view of the research in the field of available technologies in the energy sector, and as well as the innovations and the current projects in the energy division. So, Ms. Bathsheba Mbongwe, the Director of Research and Partnership, you will have the floor. Thank you.
Okay.
Please.
Thank you very much, Francesca, for the introduction. Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, please.
Okay, thank you very much.
This
will be a core presentation between myself and the head of energy here, who is an expert on energy matters, Dr. Rakati. I'll just introduce Botswana Institute for Technology Research and Innovation. First of all, let me thank you, Program Director, and also express our sincere gratitude as Botswana Institute for Technology Research and Innovation for inviting us to this network session. We really appreciate this opportunity, as one of our core tenets that we do here is to seek collaborations in the space of research. Our presentation will take a slightly different perspective compared to my colleagues who just made wonderful presentations. We are going to be talking about science and technology, research and development, because we are a science and research technology institution. The name of our organization is called Botswana Institute for Technology Research and Innovation, and we have been in existence since 2012, but we began our operations in 2014. So relatively in the space of R&D, one could say we are still young. We are a parastatal under the Ministry of Tertiary Education, Science, Research and Technology. And our mandate is anchored on conducting applied research as we identify and develop appropriate technologies in line with national priorities and the needs of Botswana. We are guided by what really is needed in terms of technology, because at the end of the day, we develop technology solutions. We have to come up with a tangible product or a service that as an institution we will commercialize, as much as commercializing is intellectual property that is derived from the output of the research and development that we undertake here at BITRE. We also promote technology transfer through collaboration with specialized agencies and partners. So this network session is very important for us as BITRE, because we seek partners who can work with us in our thematic areas of research and also work on behalf of companies or other organizations to do research and development for them. Having said that, our institution, we are focused on two thematic areas of research that we work on. The first one is on natural resources and materials. Precisely on natural resources and materials, we focus on the area of climate change. We work on climate smart agriculture, where we seek to understand the impact of climate change on Botswana's agriculture, water resources, and health sector. And we also look into the risks of drought, extreme weather events, increasing temperatures, as well as looking into vector-borne disease outbreaks and changes in water availability. Our focus areas in the area of climate change as a division of specialty in our research and development. We do climate proofing, growth and development. We also look into climate projections, as well as socioeconomic effects of climate impacts and policy responses. So from time to time on the research that we do on climate change, we work with partners from across the world. The other focus that we work on is on nanomaterials. I will not dwell much on nanomaterials because it's not the scope of today's network session. We are also in the space of building material science, where we come up with research and development of non-conventional building materials. We also play in the space of energy, and maybe just to elaborate, we look into both needs-based research and development and adoption of energy technologies, both at renewable and non-renewable energy for Botswana. In addition to that, our energy division, they also do offer training and consultancy on energy technologies. So this will be an opportunity for partners or companies in Italy who might be interested to appreciate what is happening within the landscape of energy in Botswana. We are able to work with them in that regard. We also work on the space of electronics and communications, where we focus on consumer electronics, as well as information systems and technologies. Like I mentioned earlier on, we work with partners, we collaborate with institutions from across the world, and we are very open to work with organizations or companies in Italy. And having given a background introduction of BITRI, let me take this opportunity to introduce our head of energy division at BITRI. He's an expert in this area who will take you through a thorough presentation of the research and development work that we do in the space of energy. Dr. Edward Rakati. Rakati, the floor is yours, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bathsheba. Very good presentation. Mr. Rakati, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Director, for the introduction. And also thank you, Program Director, for allowing us to also have a slot in the presentation. Am I audible? Hello?
Yes.
We can hear you.
We are sharing everything.
Okay. Can you share slide number 8?
8, okay.
As I said, my name is Edward. Yeah, from there. Yes. My name is Edward Rakati. As I said, I'm going to take you through what we are currently doing as energy division. As our research and partnership director has already said, we are mostly on energy related research. So what I'm basically going to underline is the active projects that we are currently undertaking. And as he has rightfully said, we are more than available for partnership in terms of energy related projects. So I'm basically going to take us through the active projects that we are currently undertaking. Under energy management, I'm going to basically start with energy management. Under energy management, one of the projects that is actually at the prototype stage is what I refer to as a load management device. As BITRI, we've actually developed what I refer to as a load management device that assists the user to manage energy and also to optimize energy consumption. And in addition to that, it also has features to allow for the monitoring of the geysers. That's one of the projects that is at a prototype stage. That is one of the projects that we've actually developed in-house for household energy management. And in addition to that, one of the projects again, which was more or less proof of concept, is what I refer to as solar PV powering of traffic lights. That is application of solar PV technologies in our traffic lights. We've actually proven that concept. We've actually implemented that project on two sides, both on the AC and on the DC sides. But the main aim of that, in addition to the proving of the concept, is actually to do a cost-benefit analysis of saying, if you have a solar PV power traffic light versus a grid-connected traffic light, what is the cost-benefit of that particular case? That's one of the projects that we've actually looked into, which we've actually finalized. We've actually come up with a document that will actually give a cost-benefit analysis of solar traffic lights versus grid-powered traffic lights. And one other project application is what you call solar street lights. That's one of the projects that we've actually also looked into to sort of lighten the country using solar PV traffic lights. If you can proceed with my slides, please. If you can get into this next slide. The other project that has also been mentioned by Department of Energy and BERA is the biogas project. That's one of the projects that we've actually been facilitating when it comes to the research and development part of the project. There is the potential of agro waste to energy. And so far, so good. What I can say is that the project is currently being piloted on the southeastern part of Botswana. And currently, I mean, the success is taking us towards rolling out the projects throughout the country. And out of the project, in collaboration with other partners, that is Department of Energy, UNDP, and Bureau of Standards, we are also developing standards that will also facilitate the agro waste to energy project. One other project again is on energy efficient cook stove. Cooking mostly in rural areas is mostly done by firewood. So hence the need to develop an energy efficient cook stove that will allow for efficient use of biomass. So we've actually, that's one of the projects that we've also gone a step ahead. We've actually developed what I can refer to as an energy efficient cook stove, which allows for minimal use of biomass, especially firewood. But we want to develop that further to have what we call a hybrid energy efficient cook stove that would be able to use multi sources, maybe solar versus firewood in this particular case. We are also a step ahead in advancing the development of an energy efficient cook stove. One other project that we've just kickstarted is what I can refer to as decarbonization of buildings. Our direction in this project is to sort of develop, should I say, an energy efficient building. That is sort of to develop, should I say, a template that will allow somebody to retrofit a building into being an energy efficient building. That's one of the projects that we are undertaking. And we are taking our headquarters as our case study in this particular case. We want to be able to sort of retrofit, though not really 100%, but we'll have a template that will allow people to be able to develop the buildings to be sort of energy efficient. Not only energy efficient, but more on the green part. That's why I'm referring to the project as decarbonization of buildings. One other project that I want to underline is we've also set up what I can refer to as a solar thermal testing facility. There was a mention of quality when it comes to solar products. The solar thermal testing facility that we've set up from Beatrice's side is to allow for the quality checks. It's more or less a test lab to allow for the quality checks of solar thermal components, in addition to the R&D part of solar thermal components. If you have a solar thermal testing facility, it will basically allow you to do further fine-tuning when it comes to solar thermal components, in addition to quality checks of the available solar thermal components. Because the cry out, especially in our country, has always been the quality of this so-called solar thermal components is not so good. So we've actually set up solar thermal testing facility to allow for that. The other project that I would also want to underline is financial benefits of renewables in Botswana. It's a very key project, especially when we want penetration of renewables in Botswana. Somebody would then have to go through what I refer to as financial benefit analysis of renewables in Botswana. In this particular case, it was done both on the hindsight, that is the current system, and it is also to be done on the foresight, that is looking at the future based on the IRP. Somebody would actually be able to develop financial cost-benefit analysis of renewables. And it can also be done both off-grid and on-grid to inform policy when it comes to renewables. The other small project, which was initiated by the COVID-19, was what I can refer to as a ventilator. We've also decided to go into what I can refer to as a low-cost ventilator. Looking at the pace of the virus, the COVID-19 virus, we've decided to go into a project whereby we are designing an affordable, scalable, digitally controlled ventilator, which can assist where there's a need in respiratory support. But I have to say, it's still under, I mean, if you have to develop something that is going to be applied to human beings, it will have to go through a process. We are at a prototype stage, but surely it will have to go through all the relevant stages to make sure it's a ventilator, not an eradicator. So that's one of the projects that we actually looked into. But one last word that I can say is that we are more than available to work with Italian companies for any projects that is energy related or any other project that can assist Botswana. I think with those few words, let me hang my towel, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Very clear presentation. So even you present a lot of projects, so potentially interesting for the Italian companies. Thank you so much for that. Now, I don't know if Professor Battisani would like to add anything. I think he's not online, so okay, we can go ahead.
Our apologies, we forgot to send in apologies. Professor Battisani has another meeting.
Okay, no problem. No problem, no problem. So we can go ahead for the last presentation. We'll analyze the point of view of the private sector. So I give the floor to Ms. Zoe Isaacs, representative of Business Botswana, the Confederation of Industry in Botswana, like the Italian Confindustria. So we're interested in knowing which are the activities, which are the membership in your organization. Thank you so much, Zoe. You have the floor.
Thank you, Francesco, and thank you for organizing this important webinar. One of the advantages of being the last speaker is that people have said a lot of what you want to say. So I think my presentation is going to be very short. I will start. I was hoping you'd be projecting my presentation. Okay, thank you. My organization that I work for is Business Botswana, and I'm the director responsible for business development services. Now, I would like us to go straight into slide number 4. I'm hoping and expecting that the presentation will be shared. So I don't think we need to go through the mission and the values. I think people will read that for themselves in their leisure. Basically, I want to start off by saying who we are. We are a membership organization that is made up of the private sector that operates in Botswana. We operate as a chamber of commerce. We also are an employer organization, and this is the role that many people do not know much about us, but that is one of the things that we do. And we would like to think that we are the business representative body in the country. The major thing, if we go to the next slide, is who we represent. We represent the private sector, as I said. We have in excess of 2,000 members on our database. We represent all the sectors that operate in the economy, energy being one of them. We survive financially mostly on the subscriptions of our members. We are a complete non-government organization in the sense that we don't get any funding from the government. With this, then there are activities that we undertake in order to be able to augment the resources that we get from our members. And this is through training, events, and consultancy services. If we go on to the next slide, this is now the services that we offer. The first one being that of advocacy. We exist mainly to ensure and to have dialogue with government to ensure that there's a business-friendly environment in the country. This is our major mandate. We exist specifically for that. In addition to that, because we are a membership organization, there are also services that we offer to our members that come up with as a package by virtue of people being our members. These include networking services. Together with BITC, we engage in ensuring that we expose our members and the general public. We expose them to external business people. We arrange networking services where we assist our members in looking out to external markets to partner with other business people around the world with the use of mainly our embassies, to ensure that we give them the opportunity to identify possible joint venture partners. We also assist our members in looking for external markets, as well as looking for alternative sources of raw material across the world. So that's the networking service that we offer outside of the country. Within the country, we also do that, where each sector would be looking for possible partnerships or areas where they can operate. We assist with that. The major thing that we do in our advocacy is that we do stakeholder engagement. And this is usually the networking session or the vehicles with which we assist our members, or the vehicles that we engage government on in our advocacy work. Basically what we do, I think it's in one of the slides, it is slide number 10. Please excuse me for jumping. This is the basic vehicle that we use on our advocacy platforms to engage with government as we try to ensure that the regulatory environment in the country is conducive. At very local level, this is now out in the districts. We have the local level consultative council, which is co-chaired by the district commissioner and the business council chairpersons at that level. This is to ensure that as we advocate with government at a higher level, we take views of our business people at the local level into consideration. In the towns, this is now going up one notch. We have what we call sector level consultative council. This is an engagement or a vehicle where each sector engages with its ministry. Now, what would happen is there would be a pre-meeting with Business Botswana members per sector to raise any issues that they may have that they need government to deal with that is an impediment to doing business. This sector level consultative council leads to what we call the high level consultative council. This is now a meeting between Business Botswana sector chairpersons and the ministers, for instance, and permanent secretaries, and it is chaired by the state president. Now, the sector level consultative council happens twice before May, which is one high level consultative meeting, and then the other meeting happens in November. So the vehicle is that each sector will meet twice with its minister before they go and meet the minister, they'll meet twice in the build up to the main meeting in May. And then between May and November, there'll be two meetings again. This is a vehicle that we use to be able to resolve any impediments or any issues that we may have at policy level, at regulatory level, to find out if the ministry responsible for that sector cannot resolve those issues. And where there's a deadlock between the private sector or the Business Botswana chairpersons and its minister, then those issues will be taken up to the high level consultative council, which is now the meeting that is chaired by the state president. This happens twice a year, every year. And then we have what is we call the National Business Conference. This happens once every 2 years. Unfortunately, we are scheduled to have one this year. We didn't have it due to the pandemic that we've had. This is usually now open to all private sector, not just Business Botswana members. People register to attend this meeting. We choose a topic or a theme of any issue that we may need to be discussed within the 2 years from one meeting to the next. And then out of this meeting, we then come up with resolutions and timelines and the responsible ministry or minister that needs to implement that particular issue that we would have raised. This has helped, and it has led to a lot of things being put in place, a lot of laws being changed, a lot of policies being set up, and even a lot of some of the parastatals that have been set up have been as a result of this conference or and the implementation thereof. I have covered what we have on slide number 11. I think we can skip that and go on to slide number 12, where now we are discussing the results or what has happened in the regulatory space as a result of Business Botswana intervention. We are very instrumental in setting up what is now called SIPA, which is Company Intellectual Property Authority, I think, which now has enabled us or enabled the business people to be able to register their businesses through the internet or online. It used to be very cumbersome to be able to register a business. Now you can do it at the click of a button and it happens in less than 24 hours. This is one of the outcomes that came out of the National Business Conference. You will see now as we go down the slide, all the things that we can attribute directly to the engagement that Business Botswana has had with the government that assisted in the regulatory space, being very conducive and assisting the ease of doing business in the country. Mr. Dingalo from BITC did say that we strive to have the regulatory space as conducive to business as possible. And this is one of the things that we have done on the slide. I think you'll have a look at them. And if there are any questions from my presentation, I'll be very happy to assist. Those are now our contact details. Francesco has also my email address where you can contact me. I have come to the end of my presentation and thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zoe, for the presentation. I collected some questions. We'll reply tomorrow in the days later, because we'll address the question directly to the speakers, because now we don't have much time to a Q&A session. We arrive to the closing. We arrive to the closing remarks of this webinar. Firstly, I would like to thank all the speakers intervened, but also all the Italian companies that show interest for this event. I think we have three action points in front of us. Firstly, we are available to organize specific in-depths with selected institutions during further months. So we can deepen the issues discussed this morning with the institution, the Botswana institution. Secondly, we could evaluate the potential involvement of the Italian companies in the projects and initiatives presented this morning, because we heard a lot of initiatives from BERA, from B3, from the Department of Energy. So we can discuss in the weeks to come the way to involve the Italian companies interested in coming in Botswana. And third, last but not least, we can discuss about the involvement of the Botswana companies in the virtual technical seminars with the Italian companies aimed at presenting Italian technologies, and also B2B session to follow. This is a topic we already implemented in the months before, also in 2020 during this emergency, because we think that the Botswana companies can learn a lot from the Italian companies in terms of technology and also in terms of potential investment. So these are the three main action points for the weeks to come. We remain available to deepen all the questions you would like to pose to the speakers. This is our email, itpo.rom@unido.org. So I'm really glad to receive all your queries, and we keep in touch. We remain in touch with all the Italian companies and the Botswana institution. Thank you very much, and have a nice day. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.